Welcome back to Anime News Update. This week's a strange one indeed. Chris Brown rips off a manga cover, Stan Lee's working on a new anime, and Dragon Ball Super gets an English dub, but Funimation's not a part of it. This may be the strangest collection of news stories I've done outside of an Evangelion product rant. Oh, your time will come. Let's jump right in. Chris Brown, hip-hop musician, actor, woman-beating waste of human life and natural resources. Dancer. Has a new single called Zero, which is a good approximation of how much I knew about him before this news broke. He ripped off a rather famous cover from the 35-volume 80s manga City Hunter, about a private detective who has a thing for the ladies, and is often assaulted with a hammer for doing so. Anywho, the album cover isn't just some blatant rip-off, but clearly something they modified in Photoshop without asking. Since this is the music industry we're talking about, so stealing and repurposing things that were popular in the 80s is really all they know how to do at this point. Now, as much as I want to dig into Chris Brown, and I really want to dig into Chris Brown, this is the label RCA's fault. But we could go even deeper and blame the lazy-ass quotation marks artist who plagiarized Tsukasa Hojo's work. In fact, it's so easy to do, I had the channel's artist do the exact same thing in a little over an hour. Hello, handsome. I of course want to call the prick out by name for doing this, but RCA didn't credit its quotation marks artist, so I don't know what I'm more upset about. RCA not giving people credit for their plagiarism, or just how inept they are at their jobs. Do a reverse Google image search, you hacks. It's a pretty standard thing to do to see if someone's stealing content, or if you're going to get sued for your own incompetence. Also, Zero, not a very good song. Thought I'd add that. I think I want a poster of this.
Minasan konnichiwa. Stan Lee desu.
Stan Lee, the godfather of Marvel superheroes and king of self-promotion, is teaming up with anime director Hiroshi Nagahama to make a brand new show called The Reflection. This may sound a bit odd, but this isn't Stan's first foray into anime. Most people know about the Marvel Studios anime they did in 2010, but Stan himself worked with Square Enix and Studio Bones to make Hero Man in 2009, and that was an original story about a teenager with the ability to turn a toy robot into a powerhouse fighting machine with lightning-based superpowers. And in the same year worked with Hiroyuki Takai to make Ultimo, a manga about child constructs that embody the 7 deadly sins and virtues, created by Stan Lee's self-insertion character Dunstan. As a matter of fact, both shows have a lot of shameless cameos from him. Even my ego isn't that big, and I have chibis for this show and a totally original album cover.
I thought he'd be taller.
All joking aside, I really like both those books, and Stan's had a cool effect on the anime industry even as far back as the 70s. So let's see what they have this time.
What would happen if a large group of humans throughout the planet suddenly gained mighty superpowers?
Dear God, it's the X-Men. You unoriginal rehashing son of a— Hold on, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. What if that's f***ing Magneto, isn't it? I want to give this the benefit of the doubt, but the main character's head is almost literally the X-Men logo. I mean, I think that's Psylocke without any pupils and shockingly more clothes. There has to be an explanation. Let's check the show's description at least. After, all caps, The Reflection, some people in all parts of the world are discovered with superpowers. Some become heroes, some become dear God, it really is the X-Men.
The Reflection.
That really is a great name for an unoriginal story, isn't it? The reflection of the thing you've already seen.
Do as I tell you right now, before I lose what little sense of reason I have left!
This last bit of news is kind of on the strange side. You see, we have an upcoming dub announced for this year's new Dragon Ball anime, Dragon Ball Super, but it's not being made by who you think. Announced on November 10th, Toonami Asia, not the Toonami you're thinking of, but the one that runs in the Philippines, Hong Kong, India, and the like, will be making their own English dub, without Funimation. Yeah, this is about the first time in 20 years Funimation hasn't gotten first dibs on anything Dragon Ball related.
Darn it, if that's your idea of a joke, then you've lost your mind!
It also doesn't help that Funny's PR has responded with, "We have no comment at this time" to most outlets, which, to be fair, could mean anything. They might be under a non-disclosure agreement to not talk about upcoming projects, or the CEOs might be taking turns jumping out the top story window. There are some dubs of Dragon Ball Z that exist in other countries, with varying questions of legality.
It's the green!
Let that child alone.
All of them give you about the same amount of enjoyment you'd feel from pouring acid on your genitals, or watching Dragon Ball GT sober. But after looking at some of the shows that air on that channel, I really don't have a basis to think the dubbing will be bad or unwatchable. There's also no reason they can't have Cartoon Network do the dubbing in the US and premiere the show in Asia either. Really, there's no information out there other than one lonely press release, but things might get interesting if Turner Broadcasting does well with this and brings it stateside. Dragon Ball's been one of Funimation's biggest moneymakers, and it's kind of the thing that put them on the map in the first place. It's odd to think what they might do without it. But on the other hand, we might finally get a dub that pronounces Super Saiyan correctly. Okay, fine, it still sounds weird. Changes in the water for the anime industry right now. Your move, Turner. Let's see if you can live up to Funimation's hype.
I am the hype!
Or Team 4 Stars.
The f***'s a commie?